this one, I want a simple random sampling that I would select 200 students. So SRS is the names of the hat. So you put 2,500 student names in a hat, mix them up, and pull out 200 names. In part B, they say, well, what if we were going to stratify? Stratified is when you split things into groups where the groups are similar to each other in some way that matters. So I did grade level, but I got like dots around it because I think you could put something else there and still get away with it. I did grade level because it's possible that different grade levels have different opinions on the food. So I did put on the food, like I'm making sure I put context in there. But I think if you put gender, it's possible that different genders have different opinions on the food. I think you're fine there. I think those are the two I can really think of. But if you can think of something else that you think would impact like how people like food, as long as you could justify it and it makes somewhat of sense, you'd be okay. But you want something that you think is relevant to the situation that is going on here. And then part C, they said describe one statistical advantage. So there's two possibilities. You just have to pick one. One is to make sure you draw from all grade levels, or if you did gender, make sure you draw from all genders. Because if you just did randomization, it's possible you could get like 200 high schoolers, and this would make sure that doesn't happen. And then the second possibility, is you might gain more information about what grade levels prefer or what genders prefer. So I might find out like middle schoolers love chicken nuggets and high schoolers hate them, or anything to that effect. Questions on that one? I saw a few when I was walking around. A few were blank. I don't know if you just hadn't started yet or if you're struggling to get going on this one. But any questions I can answer on this one? All right, go to the next one. I can't even see what it is. 2008, number 2. Bless you. yesterday, but we're done with the chapter basically. There might be like a little small thing here and there that we'll notice when we start reviewing, but we're doing. Should be able to cruise through all these frappies today, or at least really close. Monday I won't be here, but I'll leave you some sort of review. And then we got, multiple choice AP questions, doing practice tests. You're looking at a test probably Thursday-ish next week. Raise your hand if you're in count. There's like 4 or 5 of you. I can't imagine anybody would be upset if I decided to give a day in class for the third gateway. Instead of like arranging on your own, if I was just like Tuesday. I'm not going to be here Monday, but if I was like Tuesday, will be the third gateway. I can't imagine anybody being pissed off about that. I wish I'd have told you, but that's hopefully a good surprise, not a bad surprise. I will. I'll put it on school. I'll put it on the video. I'll put it on school G. I'll tell you. On Twitter, Snapchat, So you guys can tell people. That's what we're gonna do. So if you want to tell your friends, just spread the word. I don't know if you guys have friends or not, but. Another minute or two on this one, good? Alright. So, let's look at it. I sent out a survey to all these families, and only 98 of them responded. So, what is the possible consequence of the non-response bias? The issue is that the people that didn't respond may feel differently than the people that do. This is almost like a volunteer situation where, like, you're probably only going to get the strong opinions, because otherwise you're not going to take the time to fill out the survey. The key thing you want to say is that the people that didn't respond might be different in some way than those that do. So there's a different thing. The people that are answering are different than the people that are not. Part B says, well, we didn't get all these responses. These people aren't answering us, so let's just send out more. Well, that's just like doubling down on your error. You're doing it wrong. Your process is causing this issue, and you're just doing the process like again. That's like if someone doesn't speak English and you just talk louder. It doesn't help the issue. You're just doing it more often or different, or louder. So no, the same issue would still be there. The people that are not responding may be different than the people that are. And that matters, and doing it again is not going to fix that issue. So how would you fix it in Part C? You have to make the survey mandatory somehow so that non-response isn't even a possibility. So I think it's good to give an example of that. So suggest a different follow-up. So I said, you can't register for classes until you fill it out. You could try to do different ways to make them fill it out. Student can't graduate unless they fill out the survey. can't. I don't know what else there could be. But anybody want to read theirs? Have any other ideas? Does that make sense? I think you're the one person that needs a head nod or a no or an answer. Jeez, someone flip me off right now. I'd be happy. Anything I can help with? Questions? No one want to flip me off? Go for it. That's your chance. Fair? Bring it on. What? Go for it. Okay. You're the one that actually responded anyway. 2004 being number 2. We need, I need someone in here that I could, yell at. That would wake people up. Like, people would talk. Maybe. Let's try it. Did you?
I did. Halfway. It was like that.
Wasn't a full on.
No. Because I don't feel very bad about you.
You just feel halfway bad about me?
Sometimes.
This needs a guesser. No, because he never stopped talking. I can yell him to shut up. I can make fun of him. People can wake up. Yeah? You don't say stupid stuff like that. I need you to say stupid stuff. Not literally saying the word stupid stuff. Serving the teacher, he asked the class over the law. Most hours, I don't think thanks are fine. And I was just like, I was doing it like volunteers. Just makes their lives feeling low energy. It is what it is. Make sure you answer the question. There's 2 questions in each part, right? It sounds like you kind of ask 2 questions for A, 2 questions for B. Make sure you answer everything that's being asked. Like CNN gives the Hershey's thing, right? And then you can like kind of do what you want from there. Just because you like Alright. So the first one talks about, so there's a lot of things wrong with this. One thing that's wrong that they don't ask you about is that the manager is the one asking the questions. That causes a response bias. But they didn't ask about that. They asked about the convenience sample and the wording. So if you talked about the manager being the one asking questions, that is a source of bias, but it's not an answer to the questions that they were asking. What they asked is the convenience sample. So the way they selected the sample is the manager was just went out in the hallway and was like, okay, the first 100 people in line, I'm going to give you this survey. Well, the people that are in line, especially early, are probably more likely to enjoy the cafeteria's food than other people, right? So that's going to create a bias where they're probably more likely to say good things about the food than people that don't eat at the cafeteria or like come in late. So that's, you want to say something about that. So since they chose people that were in line to eat at the dining hall, they're likely biased towards enjoying the food, something along those lines. And then suggest how it could have been done differently. So I would just do an SRS. I put all the students' names in a hat, mix them up, and pull out 100 names, and give them the survey. Whether they eat at the cafeteria or not, you're taking the survey. Questions on Part A at all? Yeah.
Could you have done this one like the last one to say that people who didn't give the survey could have had different opinions?
So because this is explain how bias may be introduced, I think you want to be a little more specific.
I said it because of undercoverage, but is that...
Because you're not getting the people that are not in line. Did you say why it was undercoverage?
No.
I would do that.
Okay.
Just to make sure you're getting all your points in there and like explaining it thoroughly, you know.
Okay. And then could you make that better by giving the survey to everybody who came in?
That's still under coverage. Because you're still not getting the people that, like, I might go to, like, when I was in college, I went to the cafeteria the first week. Literally every meal I ate, I puked. So I just stopped going. So then I wouldn't be in the survey, you know, but I obviously would have an opinion on the food, I just wouldn't get in that situation.
Okay.
People talk about, like, the freshman 15, because they say people gain. I lost, like, 15 pounds my first week in college, because something about the food didn't sit with me. Not that anyone cares, but. Was there another question? I saw another hand up, I thought.
No, I can see it.
You're good?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the same thing.
Okay. Part B, the question wording. They ask, like, how is the question wording biased? How could you fix it? The question's terrible. It's like, it tries to bias you like two ways, and they almost cancel each other out. So this first part says, and you just had to talk about one of them. You could pick, there's two problems with it, you could pick one. Many students believe the food served needs improvement. Well, that's trying to push you toward, yes, we do need the food to improve. And then at the end, they say, even though the cost may increase. Now they're trying to push you away from saying, so they're kind of pushing you one way and the other way at the same time. You just had to talk about one of those. I talked about both in my answer, but you don't need to do both, you just need to do one. And to improve it, I would just do the part that's circled, like eliminate that first part and the last part and say, do you think the quality needs improvement? And you're not like biasing the person one way or the other, you're just saying straight up, do you think it should be better or not? Not like, well, think about this or think about this. Questions on there anywhere? Remember these control your tests, right? So I want to make sure I'm answering any questions that you have before we move on. Alright? Okay, well, next one. Okay. 2007, number 2. About dogs. question, or are you just stretching it out back there? Alright. I want to talk to you anyway. Perfect. Alright, what would be an advantage to having a control group? So if you just look at the two supplements, it's possible that neither one of them do anything at all. And if you just compare them to each other, you can't really tell that. So that you need a control group to see if either one of them are effective. So that you're comparing to like doing nothing. So you can tell if they're useful in any way. Yeah?
Could you say that some dogs just could be better with a client?
So that's the control group, right? So I want to know if, and if I don't have a control group, I wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you want to like make sure you're explaining that part of it too. Is that right? Anyone else want to read with that side or questions on that part? Part B, number the dog. I put number the dogs 1 to 300. Someone last hour wanted to name all of the dogs. Put the names in a hat. Put the 300 numbers in a hat or names. Mix it up. First 100 get close to mean. Second 100 get chondroitin, and the rest of the control group. I think I told you this before. They accepted this answer. Put 300 dogs in a bag. Mix up the dogs. The first 100 you pull out get whatever. The next. So statistically, they were like, yeah, that makes sense. Seems a little inhumane, but they did take that answer. Question then B. And then part C, they want to know which you would block on, and they accepted either answer. The thing you want to understand is you block on the variable that you think matters. So literally you could have filled in breed in both of those spots or clinic in both of those spots, as long as you said it, because I think it's the one that matters. So I think you could look at it and be like, well, yeah, some dogs are going to react differently to medicine than other types. Or you could have been like, well, the way the clinic treats the dogs may have some kind of impact. I think you can argue both. They accepted both as long as you justified it and said, because I think it may have more of an impact on the hip health. All right, questions on that one? Give me like that one. I knocked out of the park. I got 4 out of 4. Let's say on that one, I would have got a 0 out of 4, or like 2 out of 4, or give me like an idea of how we're doing here. Okay. Any questions I can answer? All right. Do the last one. 2000 was that? 2004 number 3. Was it 9 or 3? part B, make sure you explain why. So it says provide a specific example to support your answer. I don't know why I can't remember this, but what time is this class now? 22. It's only ended at the same time for like 6 years. You guys wear those at the same day on purpose? Alright, let's go through this so we can make sure we finish. Part A, you've written this a few times by now, but you're putting the names in a hat, mixing it up. Pull out one group of 12 to get one type, you pull out the other group of 12 to get the other type. Questions on that? So that's just an SRS. And then part B, my answer is like, I kind of ramble, I'm not sure this is a great answer, but, you know, if someone likes frogs and likes playing with stuff and they choose that group and then they learn better, you don't really know if it was because they learned that way and they're interested in it, or because like the method of instruction was better. So when you let people choose, like their own preferences can affect the outcome, and you don't want that to be the case. So the volunteer is bad. You're supposed to randomize it, but they're saying like give me a specific example why. So mine's just one example. You guys might have something different or better. Anybody want to read theirs? Or yeah.
Oh, I have a question.
Yeah.
So instead of doing an SRS because it used to say that it had to be an SRS, I did something where it was matched pairs based on the score
Okay.
on the pretest, and then one from each pair went through each treatment to see if the results would be different.
Totally valid. I just went for the like, easier route, but yeah, if you want to do match pairs up here, so you did it by like pre-test score probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, or block it by something like those are all. They didn't really say how, so
Okay.
yeah.
I just wanted to make sure I was
Yeah.
Would it work to say, like, just as an example, if someone doesn't really care about the class, just take the online one so they don't really have to put any effort in?
And then like you can't tell. Right, that'll affect the scores too. Yeah, for sure. As long as it's something that makes some sort of sense, they're usually okay with it. Alright, Monday I'll give you some sort of review. I won't be here. Tuesday or Wednesday we'll probably do more review stuff. Your test is probably going to be Thursday, is my guess at this point. Have a good weekend. Thanks for stopping by.